This is for parents of college-bound teens and perhaps for counselors to these teens, in-school counselors. I'm Mark Greenstein, and I am smiling, but I'm very angry because yet another report back to me of one of my students in-school guidance counselors discouraging her from taking another in her case SAT, but whether it's ACT or SAT, no student who has high ambitions should be dissuaded from testing. It's a Saturday morning, okay? That's all. There is zero downside except 5.5 hours on a Saturday morning and $60 for the test. That's it. The upside is colossal. Whether this is your second, third, fourth, seventh SAT, and maybe there's some ACTs along the way. Colleges are animated, with one exception, maybe two. They're animated by the best scores that you submit. And they don't have any concern for scores that are not as good from earlier on. So if you have yet to reach the score that you want, the score that probably puts you in the running for admission to a more elite, more desired college for you, or the score that helps your parents land a scholarship, take the test. You're only going to submit the top 2 scores. So if there's 3 other scores that are submerged, so what? The colleges are only animated by the top scores, and again, you've got the choice of submitting them. So any counselor who is dissuading an ambitious kid, or even a possibly in the future ambitious kid, from testing when they've prepared well, I think is committing malpractice, literally. Now, I've heard this defense, oh, the kid is plateaued. We don't think there's likely to be a higher score. You don't think? Let the kid prove you right or wrong. But to not even try means you can't have a chance at a more elite college that you might be desiring. And by the way, plateau cannot be determined from 3 data points. It takes many, many more. And even if there is a plateau over the course of 5 or 6 tests, there's a good chance that there's a 20-point improvement on one of those later tests compared to before. And that 20 points could make a difference. A kid sitting with 1390 who then has a 1410 has moved herself into a more admittable category. She's probably moved her parents into a scholarship at a higher level number, 1410 versus 1390. Now, that's with just a 20-point move. I, in my professional practice, see 50 and more point moves routinely when a student goes after a 3rd, 4th, even 5th test. On average, if you haven't prepped seriously and start in with my firm, you can expect over 100 points. A counselor who is discounting what a 70-point improvement can do, with rare exceptions, is committing malpractice. Okay, the only type of student I know for whom 70 points is not helpful is the kid with D minuses for a GPA. And there are some colleges that don't want that very bright on tests, but thus far unmotivated student. Now, even that student might have a turnaround after a year of community college, gets good grades, and then is fired up to be a scholar. And who is this counselor to say, oh, in the future, we don't think an SAT is worthy for you? A counselor who is suggesting, gee, State U is the right place for you. You've plateaued. Doesn't know what happens a year and a half later when a student may very well want to transfer and that SAT score will still be important. Now, some counselors are on the lookout for kids' feelings. And the anticipation of, oh my, another not so good score will hurt a student's feelings. Feelings are probably subordinate in the long run to success, which might come with tough feelings. You get over feelings. You never get over a diminished opportunity when it's 4 years of college that you've been pining for, 4 years that could make a career. So if you or your student is still listening to this, knows that the SAT may be important in the future, and that State U might not have the major available that my kid's going to want, or State U just is not satisfactory long run, we might start there and transfer. Please take the tests that you've prepped for. Do it until you run out of chances. Probably you're going to smack it one of these times and be done early. How nice. And if there's a counselor in your midst who is concerned about your feelings, reassure her or him that I have the temerity to deal with a possibly disappointing next attempt, but I see the upside of the nailing it, getting a 70-point improvement, and really launching myself into the financial and the admission stratosphere. I'm Mark Greenstein.